All right, and here we go. How'd you guys like the reading this week? Those that novella that we had to do.
Well, you know how I feel.
It was kind of
If I was
long.
recording, then I probably wouldn't say, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's why I'm just trying to put everyone on the record about it.
I thought it was bad. I'll put it on record.
I thought it was long. So
Yeah.
I
It was
did
hard
like the
for me
TED
to
Talk.
follow.
The TED Talk
Oh.
was very good.
the TED Talk, the TED Talk was really good.
I like the TED Talk, and I also like the case studies that we did, little employee vignettes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I thought
The
those were
reading.
interesting.
Mhm.
But yeah. Well, we're mostly going to be discussing that nice long reading.
Don't ask
So,
me too many hard questions.
All right. Well, could I just get someone to start off with describing one of the three diversity paradigms that was described in the reading?
I can totally read that one.
I was gonna say, I have not memorized it.
I mean, I still absolutely have my my reading absolutely open here as well, so it's not like I'm just coming up with it off the top of my head.
Jared, we know you memorized it. We know it.
Okay, so there's the assimilation one, right? That's what we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
And that, to me, I mean, you guys can help me figure out if I'm understanding this correctly, but that's just, for me, that's just taking a company that, just as the basic, they're like, okay, we need to do this, equal opportunity, everybody is equal. We need to make sure we have diverse people in our team because that's what the law says we need to do. That's kind of how I gathered that one to be. Am I right?
That's absolutely kind of like the way that I saw it, and it seemed
Okay.
like it comes from like a place of sincerely wanting to do the right thing.
It's just we have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
Well,
I
kind of
thought.
reminds me of the TED Talk a little bit. She was like the color blind, or
Mhm.
whatever. She's like, we kind of all pretend that you don't associate with people, or maybe you don't see colors, but we really do. So I almost feel like with this one, it's like we're pretending that we don't see colors because we have to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That everyone is the
Yeah.
same. We're all equal, even though like everyone's not. Anyway, that's kind of what I thought of with that one.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's absolutely like where I connected that one, and I feel like I don't know. I've been into it almost makes things more awkward where you're afraid to acknowledge those differences that are obvious.
Mhm.
You feel like if you think them in your head at all, then you're a terrible person. But it's like no, like we have to acknowledge like that we are different in some ways. And so I think the assimilation one, it tries to do the right thing. At least that's my view of it, but that doesn't always succeed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that's good.
Amber, would you be able to describe one of the other three diversity paradigms? One of the other of the three? Or Cassie, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Amber looks frozen.
Yeah, I was thinking that just now.
Oh, there she is. Hi, Amber. Welcome back. Oh, can't hear her.
I don't know if you can hear us, Amber, but we're not able to hear
Are you
you.
on mute? Oh,
Yeah,
there
she's got our mute
Yeah.
on.
Now she's muted herself. I was
She
wondering.
just muted herself.
Uh-oh.
She broke her mic on purpose so she doesn't have to share.
I wish I
move.
would have thought of that.
I know, that was smart. Cassie, you're her roommate. Yeah, take the rank on that one.
Just taking some notes of that one. Yes.
Score on the notes.
Cassie, would you be able to share one of the other remaining two of the diversity paradigms?
I'm looking at it right now. Am I right to say that one of them was the access and legitimacy
Mhm.
one?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So with this one, I just read a little bit, and it said that it's kind of like the one where it accepts the different races and that we all have different ideas. That's what I got from it. Like, it's good that we're all different because we can all share our own ideas, and they won't be the same exact thing. That's what I got from it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think, for at least myself, I think that one's kind of what you're describing is kind of the integration and learning paradigm.
Okay.
What I found for the access and legitimacy, it's hold on real quick as I'm looking at this, but like it's used as a resource where, for example, if you have a car dealership in a certain neighborhood and you have people from that I don't know, like certain races, like dealing with specifically those customers or something like that. And I feel like that's mostly what I kind of got with some of the access and legitimacy.
Okay.
And like one of the dangers of that is that careers can be really like pigeonholed, and people can be stuck without being able to move up because they're seen as a resource for kind of one specific area of expertise.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, then anyway,
No,
obviously
no,
feel free to correct me.
No, that's what I was
Correct me.
thinking too with that one too.
All right, and then the last paradigm that we had was the integration and learning.
Okay. I got those. Okay, I got those confused. Take
I
it.
mean, like, well, I mean, hearing about like all three of these as I was reading through here, none of them sound on the surface like they're bad or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just only like once you like kind of like dig deeper down that some of them seem like they are going to cause more problems than they might try to solve.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I like that.
But who would be able to tell about the integration and learning paradigm?
I mean, I can tell a little bit, just kind of what I've read and remember. You know, as in, you know, you look in the PowerPoint, it says their last kind of bit, they say, we're all on the same team with our differences, but not despite them. And so I think that's interesting. Like, you know, they realize that people, you know, we were all raised differently. We all come from different cultures, and we can all learn from each other. Maybe, you know, people are going to kind of manage in different ways because of the culture, and they're going to maybe do things differently. But, you know, we don't have to pretend that we're, you know, all from the same culture. We're just on the same team. That's what we need to focus on, being on the same team, you know, and going with our differences on the same team. That's kind of, I don't know what I got, but
I think what I got to elaborate on that more is that, like, so we have differences. Let's embrace it, because those differences are what's going to make, you know, our businesses thrive. We need that diversity.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of moving on, talking about some of the TED Talk. Somebody kind of already mentioned it.
Sorry.
With the no problem at all. There's nothing wrong with that.
Somebody in here.
But, somebody. But what did you guys? What did you think as she was describing color bravery? What did that mean to you?
First, can I say that I really admire this woman, and I wish.
Seriously, I want to be her.
Yes, exactly. And I wish that,
Hi.
like, even just fear of public speaking, like, she just talks so eloquently, and I don't know, I just really admired her.
Mm-hmm.
She was able to make jokes and saying we all wear lotion, and I was just like
I know,
dying.
Right.
So cute.
I thought that was pretty awesome.
But I going on with that, you know, color bravery, what you're talking about, Jared, it is interesting because, you know, I was thinking about it. I was walking through the library when I was listening to the TED Talk and just kind of looking around me and just thinking, you know, we do kind of, you know, here on campus, you know, a little bit like, I don't know, for myself, I guess, dismiss that we are all from different cultures. We're all different colors, and there's not a, I mean, there's diversity here. I'm from Virginia, so there's a lot more diversity in Virginia, I feel like, at least. But like, you know, she's like going out and actually like trying to understand other people's cultures and understand where they came from. And I don't know, just seeking to learn about people. I don't know. I was just thinking about that.
I think the biggest thing that I got, I mean, not the biggest thing I got from it, but I admired her, but what I also admired about her is that she's wanting us to be educated. So our future generations are not growing up thinking that there are these big differences. We're all the same people. We just may look differently or act differently or whatever. And I think that's kind of what I got from that, was to just make sure that we're educated.
Yeah.
So our children are educated.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Like, I think like it's the awesome thing about the colored bravery that she's mentioning is that by embracing some of the differences that we've had in our upbringing and some of our cultures in America that are different from each other, we're able to draw different strengths that, you know, we couldn't even imagine. In the reading, it talked about that law firm that hired that Latina attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because they're trying to increase their client base, and so
Mhm.
they're very clearly like aiming for the access and legitimacy paradigm. But she comes in and she like doesn't let that happen. She makes it more than they could have ever imagined, and it becomes like a integration and learning paradigm, and that they're able to grow their client base and to have access to different types of work than they ever would have imagined before.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So when in her TED talk, Melody Hobson, she talked about how she thinks that she talked about how she thinks color blindness is dangerous. Why do you think that can be dangerous instead of just inconvenient or not the most effective strategy?
Well, going back to, I guess, kind of what I said before, and I think with the last paradigm as well, the integration is, or even the differentiation or whatever, when we all pretend we're all, I don't know, I just think, but going back to the cultures, we're all going to have different ideas because of the way that we're raised, and when we kind of pretend like that's not a thing, then it can, I don't know, I can't kind of form a thought, but that's kind of just what I'm thinking with pretending with, maybe pretending that there's not these culture differences can make maybe matters worse, I guess.
Going off what you said, I think if we don't acknowledge that we're different, I think they're gonna make it feel more awkward around them. So like if we acknowledge that we're different, they'll feel more comfortable, I guess.
A lot better than what I could say. I couldn't form that sentence.
Well, like, have you guys, I don't know, like in your workplaces, have you ever experienced anything that feels like that, or noticed anything like that, where a situation has been made worse by everyone trying to be colorblind?
No.
I don't
was working here.
I don't know if this applies or not, but and this didn't happen to me necessarily, but my husband worked for a company that employed a lot of illegal immigrants, and at that time that was a big deal. Now it's not so much, but and how, I mean, he ended up leaving because of it, because he didn't want to be a part of it. But he told me when he met with the owner of the company and the supervisor, manager, whatever, they acted like those differences weren't that big of a deal. I don't know if that applies here, but if you turn your head to some things, I mean, there could be, I don't know, legal repercussions. I don't know if that applies.
I think it can in a way, because like it's talking about not necessarily like racial differences, but having a moral difference kind of disagreement there. And so your husband's morals and the employer's morals were at different places, and maybe conflicting morals isn't exactly a great way to have a stable work environment for everyone to be able to work happily. So
right.
Well, have you guys ever have you ever been in a team or a group where maybe problems are addressed with like outright discrimination in any way?
What do you mean, that someone in a group talks about discrimination and how maybe
like kind of almost fall back and use that as a crutch? Like I'll give an example. I live in Oklahoma, and I work for a small pest control company, and we had a new hire, and it was a black lady that started working there. started working for in our office, some of our clerical work. Anytime somebody is hired there and starts clerical work, there's a steep learning curve into the way that as they learn the way that our systems work and the way that the techs want their paperwork done and things like that. And there was one person working there that it wasn't done the way that he liked, and he just like immediately like fell on and like was not to her face or anything to her. Still terrible, but he says that it's all that N-word's fault, that like it was going so bad for him. And it was just a we'd had other people with come and work there with as steep of a learning curve trying to learn how it all works, but that was like one case where he just fell back on that prejudice immediately.
I know when several years ago I started working in a health insurance company, and I'm from a very small rural town in Indiana, so I think we had one Black family in our whole town, and everybody knew them. But when I went to work for this company, it was probably, I would say, about 60 to 75% Black, and here I felt like the minority at this point. And I was on a team with, the majority of the people were Black, and my manager specifically used to play that discrimination card all the time. But she actually didn't complain that she was being discriminated against. She would say, "Oh, well, I got this promotion because I'm Black," or "They gave me this project because I'm Black." Almost like it was being used to her advantage instead of her being discriminated against, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, at least you looked at it that way.
Right.
I'm like, you're different. You might as well roll with it.
It could have gone the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, at one point in the reading, it talks about John Skipper, who was president of ESPN, and the question that somebody asked him when they were trying to increase some of their diversity there at ESPN, and the question was asked, "Do we hire the minority or the person who is most qualified?" And he answered, "Yes." So,
Yeah.
what do you? How do you interpret that? And do you think that that's the right approach to increasing diversity in the workplace?
I think he was probably put on the spot, and that's just a touchy subject. I think that he just said yes because he didn't want to address it. But I think the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
Look for those qualified individuals first, is what I think. Take a qualified individual, and if that happens to be someone of diversity, then that's awesome. That's even double points.
I think I was just thinking about this. I think when we see somebody, that's like the initial reaction. We all have these like stereotypes. I don't know if any of you guys watch The Voice. I do, but
My husband does.
They turn around because that's what happens when they see the person. They can focus on the voice, and instead of seeing the person and connecting, oh, this is what they look like. Oh, maybe I don't like that. And I think that, if there was a perfect world, I think that would probably be the most beneficial in, finding people that qualify, whether they're diverse or not, or, what have you, because, I think initially when we see somebody, whether, from different areas, whether they're white, Black, Asian, like we make stereotypes quickly because of that. And being able to eliminate that, I think, would be a perfect world. I don't know how to do it, but yeah. I don't know. I just want them to implement the voice for that. I just had to bring the voice into this conversation.
Do the voice for all the hiring processes.
Yeah, I think it would help.
Well, Sarah, let me ask, if they're trying to increase diversity in a workplace, do you think doing something like that, like, literally having their back turned to an interviewee, something, like that, would that succeed in increasing diversity, do you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant, actually.
I think it's brilliant too.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's not something I thought about. I mean, it takes out all the weird like body language things you have to worry about in an interview, and
Mhm.
everything else.
Yeah, they might have weird body language when you turn back around and you're like, oh, I didn't consider that, but we can coach that. We can work with that. Yeah. I don't know. I think it would help a lot with diversity, hiring like more of a diverse managerial team or what have you.
Like blind interviews at the corporate level. I love it.
I don't know. I'm going to implement it.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Start from where I am. This is what you do.
Kind of moving on. Some of our later reading also talked about how bishops in circumstances like ward councils can use some of these paradigms in talking about problems. How can a bishop use diversity of his councils to help the ward?
Well, I think so. Like, I've served on different committees, different presidencies and stuff, and we always get excited when we have a new member move into the ward because they come from a place where they did things differently, so they always bring new ideas to the table. And I think that kind of goes along with having the diversity in the workplace. If you bring in ideas, and that's the whole point. I know when I worked at the health insurance company that we were pushed to think outside the box, and that's what if I left with anything, it was that: think outside the box, push yourself and think outside the box. And so if you're bringing in those people from different backgrounds, different experiences, they bring so much more to the table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
That's one of those kind of interesting things where you think about, or you hear think outside the box, and you don't even realize sometimes how much in the box you are until you hear somebody else's idea that is just, completely out there, and you're like, okay, I wasn't even close to anywhere thinking like that.
Yeah. I love to shake it up in my ward because I like to go against the grain, and you get these old women that are like, oh no, but we've always done it this way. And I'm like, nope, we're changing it. We're doing it this way. And like, everybody freaks out. And I don't know. I love doing that.
I mean, that's a great point right there. I mean, since when has "we've always done it this way" ever been a legitimate reason for doing anything?
Right.
And I think that's part of like what some of the diversity stuff is it's a pushback against the way things have always been done, quote unquote. Do any of you other guys have any experiences or seen anything where you notice a bishop or another church leader using diversity to help a congregation or help make a decision or to serve a need?
I feel like I'm talking too much, but I have another experience. We had, and I can't remember, I think it was a Area 70, I think, was that one of our state conferences, but like our Saturday night conference. And that's exactly what he did. But he did like instead of like a ward council, he did a state council. And it was like the neatest thing where he just passed the mic around and members of the state could stand up and they could ask questions. We could discuss, how things are going in our ward and what might benefit other wards. And it was just really neat experience to learn from people in that setting that we normally wouldn't have ever gotten. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I mean, even though we're still in the same stake, I mean, we have our own wards. So one ward is totally, completely different from another one. And to just hear those ideas that we could take back to our own wards and try to implement there, it was just a good experience.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's really cool, yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Just everyone being able to, get a chance to speak like that. Because even inside of our wards, there can be, huge differences. For example, like the ward that I'm in, it covers 2 towns that are about 10 miles apart, and the needs of one of those towns can be drastically different from the needs in another town. And so then you grow that out to a stake, and the wards are all different as well.
Yeah, I'd agree.
All right, for this assignment here, I want to ask you guys, all four of you, each one last question, or
No.
each a last pair of questions.
Okay.
So that article where it says "making differences matter," it assumes that we agree that there's some value to companies promoting diversity in the workforce. Do you agree with that, and why or why not?
Can I go first?
Yeah,
I just
you're
talk all the
totally
time.
good.
I totally agree with it. I think there's something to having all these different personalities and different levels of experience, and all these people coming together and working in one place. I mean, obviously, it can cause contention, but I think the ideas that could come together could create something bigger. And when I was reading this, I kind of thought about, I think it might be Google. Is it Google that has their employees have like amazing benefits, and they, I think it's Google, but there's no like, the employees get to kind of come in and they get to create, and they get to kind of do what they want, but it fosters creativity, and there's a big diverse, I don't know, group of people that are working together. I don't know. Is it Google? Have you guys heard of that before?
Yeah, they have to spend like a certain percentage of their time like working on a different project than like what their job is or something like that.
Yeah, and I think I might have watched a video where they go in, they go into work and they have like these rooms that have like, Legos, like go play with Legos, and
I think that light.
but yeah, just when I was reading about this, I was just thinking about, how these companies that are thriving and that do have this big diverse workforce, there's something to that. I do agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Cassie, you're up.
I think, yeah, it's important to have diversity, just because going off what I said before, like everyone has different ideas, so no one's going to have the same idea as you, so it's going to get the ball rolling on different things you could do to improve your company or ways you could reach out to the community. So yes, I agree.
Awesome. All right, Amber, what do you think?
I have to say I agree too. And I think it was interesting, like before I read this, I think I was more on the side of like, yeah, we're all equal, like don't address it. But this kind of opened my eyes to like, no, you should use those differences to your advantage, because everyone can bring in their own ideas, and like, and you can say that that's because of like of your race or your age or your gender or whatever, or yeah, just your background, your work background and everything. And so, everyone should just recognize those differences and then use it to your advantage.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Devin.
I would too agree. I think, I don't know, I think even, it goes even farther than just race. I mean, I know like, I think it was Amber that was just saying, whether it be your age, your race, even I think in the United States where we are raised or what family we're raised in, we all have these different perspectives and point of views. And when you mix that and have that diversity, then you have the chance, just like someone was saying before, to have these different ideas come together where one of them might be out of the box and, the rest of you guys might be in the box, but having that one out of the box can create an experience like Google and all the things that they have brought about. Like it's amazing what Google has brought. And so I think having that diversity will be innovative and will make a lot of changes in a lot of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jared?
I mean, obviously, I agree that diversity is a good thing. I liked what you said, Amber, about how before you read all this stuff, like you thought that just the colorblind approach was like the right way to go. Like, all right, just don't acknowledge these differences. Yeah, we're obviously different, but we're really all human beings and brothers and sisters. So let's just ignore that. But it's not really taking advantage of like some of our differences and what we can truly learn from each other. And then like you were saying, Devin, it's more than just race, but like it's gender and age and religion and all these things that shape our worldview that can really help us, I don't know, like learn more from each other and understand opportunities and find solutions to problems that we couldn't figure out on our own. So,
yeah. I just had a quick thing to add. Sorry.
oh, you're
So my family's kind of semi-adopted this black boy, and he's he had a really rough background where his mom went to jail, and she's been in and out and homeless and starving. And I was just thinking about this, like my little brothers, they're 14 and 17, and this young boy, he's 16, and so they've kind of had that like maybe color blindness. They didn't really acknowledge maybe his differences, his background, how he's been raised, and so they would kind of talk to each other like negatively about him just because he doesn't shower a lot because he's black, and he has like, I don't know, it hurts his skin for some reason. I don't really know what the whole cause behind it is, and he has some lying issues and different things, like. And so I just think it's interesting just implementing this and maybe sharing with my brothers, instead of, around him acting blind to the differences in the way that we were raised, but kind of like embracing the way he was raised and, talking to him, asking about his life, and then, being able to share each other about like each of our lives and how we were raised differently. I don't know. Just a thought.
That's really awesome. Like, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's everything from the lesson that we had. But before we go, I wanted to make sure we went over some of our doohickey stuff real quick, if that was okay with you guys.
Yes, please. That is due next week.
Yes. All right. Right now we have 3 problems listed up here. We need to make sure we need to have 3 problems total we discussed, but they need to be from all 3 lessons. And so if Cassie and Amber, if you guys read ahead and maybe at least take a look at like what our lesson about is next week, you guys can find a problem from that we can address.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes, we will do that.
All right.
Yeah, I think that does it talk about sexual harassment the next?
Is that next week or is that the next week?
I don't know, maybe not. But yeah, looking ahead, yeah, that would be super awesome.
Yeah.
What do we want to do, because this is due by next week, and I know is it supposed to be the lead on this paper, but what'd you say?
Is it next Saturday that it's due, like the end of the week?
A week
I
from
think
Saturday,
it's next Monday.
Yeah, it'll be
but I think we should have the paper kind of formed well before then, so at least then, I can read it and put it together and make it, I don't know.
So on this, can I take over for a second?
Yes.
on this Google spreadsheet thing that I made, everybody kind of signed up, but we had one that was, okay, so here's the deal. There's 5 of us and there's only 4 doohickeys.
Oh.
So one of us is not going to be submitting it or whatever, which is no big deal. But I'm going to be out of town the week that the second one's due. So I won't be here, so I can't do it. I won't even be able to participate in our meeting that week. So I put Cassie in there because she hadn't signed up for a doohickey yet.
Shoot. I'm so sorry.
But Cassie, you were signed up on week 7 and then the doohickey on week 8. And I did that because Jared had already signed up to do the first section on that week. So I don't know if you guys just want to take a look at that and kind of move your stuff around. Me and Jared are the only ones that didn't sign up for a doohickey, so I put both of our names down for the 14th. Jared, I don't know how you want to handle that one, but one of us needs to do the intro conclusion, and then the other one will need to be or submit that week. And that's the last one.
Okay.
As far as that last one goes, I'll leave that up to you. I don't mind doing the writing and stuff like that. I kind of like that part.
Oh, you can write the whole thing then. That's fine.
So let's not say silly words.
And then also, I don't know if you guys saw off to the side, I just kind of put our deadlines on Wednesdays since that's kind of what, when our calls or when our meetings are and everything. But like the week before the doohickeys actually due, like, so for us, like this week right now, we should have, submitted our ideas and then have our part of the assignment written and sent to the group leader by the Wednesday of the week it's due. Is that pushing it for everybody?
No, I don't think so.
Next week
I
we
think
do it.
Yeah.
I'm
so
like, no, I don't think that's fine. I'm not even writing one next week. But I think at least then, by the next Wednesday, then we can all maybe have like looked at, what we all have, or, and then talk about it a little bit so that, we're not like, let's try and meet again, or, this didn't work out, or I don't know.
Right.
So just by having at least most of it done, or I think all of it done on Wednesday, and then, I can make it look good and sound good or
Then
whatever.
Then we can even go over it in the meeting too.
Yeah.
And then it needs to be between 3,500 and 5,000 words. So if we each plan to write 1,000 words for each of our sections, then we'll be just fine.
Well,
And
whoever
that's-
does the intro and conclusion, they do both of them. So those are 2 paragraphs.
Yeah, so if they do 500, then 500, they'll be good.
That'll be about 4,000. So we're good.
Yeah, and it's like if that's not too much, because all we have to do is we have to give 4 solutions plus our problem. So that's
I was gonna say it's gonna
that's
be
200. That's 200 words per box there.
So
just don't go crazy.
Let me ask the one, because I'm doing the intro and conclusion for this first one. Do you need me to write that first? Or are we just going to kind of blindly throw all of our stuff together? Because I'm not going to know.
Yeah, I think the intro might be, I think the intro could be done before, just because you're just describing the problems, like. But I think you can finish the
conclusion when we get all the stuff.
The conclusion, whether it be on Wednesday or maybe even afterwards, like on Thursday or so that you can actually like read it and I don't know, tie it together.
Yeah.
So we need to figure out what problems we're actually going to be addressing before I can write the intro, right?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So maybe we can let Cassie and Amber have can you guys get that done by tomorrow, and then we can send an email out trying to decide which ones we like best?
Yeah.
It's not hard at all, to be honest. You just kind of.
Cassie and Amber, do you still have that link to get into that spreadsheet I made?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just fill it out there because we all have access to that, and then we can just pick the 3 that we want to go with, and then
I want to do like check marks or X's by the ones we like the most, or what? What do you think?
I'll add everybody's name off over to the side, and you just put a check mark on the ones you like 3 of them that you like, or something like that.
Okay.
And whichever ones have the most,
3 times.
then we'll go with that.
And I think some of them we can almost combine into like broader problems if we wanted to, unless we want to do very specific problems, because I think we can almost fit this discrimination and then lack of diversity. I don't know.
One.
That could be one, but also it does make sense to have those 2 separate ones. So.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with whatever we want to do. What was last week's thing?
Last week's was about teams.
Teamwork.
The teamwork. And the rowing.
Did mine even fall on this?
Last week was about the performance reviews and stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's right.
Oh, that's right. They haven't had any performance reviews.
Yeah.
Really. So.
Yeah. So that could be an issue.
That's another issue right there to bring up. That we can bring up, because I think we're going to have way more than just 3 problems that apply to our lessons.
But being able to I think the harassment one will be good too, because I think being able to find problem or solutions for those, like harassment, you could do trainings, you can educate, so much just like with the discrimination as well. So finding one that, at least when we pick the problems, that was what I would go for, the solution, the ones that have the solutions that are easy to elaborate on and put 200 to 300 words.
Okay, so by Wednesday, we need to have our parts kind of written up, and I'll wait to do the conclusion probably until you guys. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask. Do we want to have a Google Doc out there where we just type in so everybody can read what we're doing as
I
we're
think
going.
so. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Okay, so I'll get that going and add the link to that too.
Okay.
Do you want to do that? I feel bad. You've been adding all these Google Docs.
With my
Good.
job, with my business, like I've got Google Docs for everything, so it's not that big of a deal just to throw it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question was, and this is just for next week, do you know where I would submit the doohickey?
I think
I tried
it said in the group discussion.
Oh, really? Okay, that makes more sense. So I was like searching and I could not find.
If I'm right,
I'm glad you thought of that.
Is there a group discussion board next week? Is that what you're
I
saying?
see one. The only other thing I can think of is maybe in the leadership assignment, but that doesn't make any sense. A leadership discussion, maybe.
I don't. I just remember reading like the start of the semester where it said you submit the doohickeys in the discussion board, but I don't.
Okay, that's probably inside the questions conversations. So I think that came up in like the meeting with the professor last week or the week before. Yeah,
that was me.
he thought that there was a separate discussion board, and then he found out that there was just the one discussion board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wonder if there's. Yeah, maybe I'll chime in next week to make sure we're submitted correctly.
It says that team leader should go to the next page to access lesson 5 doohickey problem and click upload. So let's see if the next page takes me to that. It doesn't, so it's gone.
Awesome.
So maybe I'll shoot him an email. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tell him there's no upload for the doohickey for next week.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so when are we going to decide the problems? Not that it matters to me, but maybe for everybody else.
Like a deadline. Do we want to do this by end of day tomorrow?
I think so. I mean, that's reasonable, right? Is that good?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. That works.
I'll just email out the link again, just unless, I don't know, I have mine saved on like my favorites or whatever so I can access it, but I'll just email that and then the Google Doc for us to start writing in.
I just search your name in my email and it pops up and I click on it. And then,
Okay.
yeah.
So end of day tomorrow, we'll have our problems, like we'll vote on our problems.
Okay.
And everyone will basically
ones are
claim
good?
one everyone will claim one to write about.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You guys are awesome.
Or
no.
you guys, you know what we could do?
What?
Yes.
So we have this spreadsheet, and so the people that have to write that, okay, so like for next week, there's Amber, Jared, and Cassie that have to do the sections of it.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just let you pick which one you want to write about? You
Okay.
might have more ideas about one than another.
I mean, that's true too. So after everyone gets their ideas put out here, we just kind of decide what we want to write.
Just
So
put your
we're
name
still-
next.
So we're still sending the ideas, and then we're gonna pick which ones.
Should we make sure that not that I don't know, like that anyone's gonna pick weird random solutions or stuff, like, does that make sense? Like making sure that all the problems kind of fall under the category though, at
I
least?
guess, yeah, we probably need to do that first.
I mean, I don't know. That's just my thought, like you making sure.
Let's stick with our first plan, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
That's good.
All right.
All right.
That's good.
Well,
Cool.
guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast, and I guess I will see you guys next week.
All right.
Thanks, Jared. You were awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.